Emily didn't remember falling. She only remembered the impact, her shoulder slamming against cold marble, the sharp gasp escaping her lips, and the billionaire's voice slicing through the room like a blade. "Don't move." The billionaire stood a few feet away, one hand gripping the back of a leather chair, his jaw tight, his eyes dark with something that looked dangerously close to fury. But Emily wasn't thinking about him. She was thinking about the fact that she'd just woken up in a penthouse she had never seen in her life, wearing yesterday's makeup, an oversized white shirt, and, God, something cold and metallic on her finger. She forced herself to sit up, ignoring the sting in her elbow. Her heart pounded as she looked down at her hand. A ring. A wedding ring. Her breathing turned shallow. No. No, no. This can't. The billionaire's eyes flicked to the ring like it offended him. It's real. Emily scrambled back until her spine hit the wall. What happened? Who are? You know exactly who I am. His voice was crisp, controlled, and full of irritation. Which means you also know what a disaster this is. Disaster? Emily's brain was scrambling too fast to understand any of this. The billionaire took a step forward, but not close enough to touch her. Just close enough to ensure she couldn't run. You married me, he said coldly. Last night. In Vegas. Emily's mouth fell open. No. No, I didn't. I wouldn't, I don't even, Vegas. I was at work. Then you left work, the billionaire said, voice flat. And you showed up at the same hotel bar I was at. And you were, very drunk. Her face flushed with embarrassment and confusion. That doesn't mean I would marry you. Well, the billionaire replied, lifting the marriage certificate off the table and tossing it at her feet, you did. Emily stared at the document like it would bite her. Her name. His name. The official government seal. Her stomach flipped. This is a misunderstanding, she whispered, as if saying it softly would make it undo itself. We were drunk. We can fix this. We can just annul it. The billionaire cut her off sharply. Immediately. The cold determination in his tone made her chest tighten. He didn't just want to end the marriage. He wanted to erase her. He didn't look at her like a wife. He looked at her like a stain he wanted removed. Emily struggled to stand, using the wall for support. Okay. Yes. Fine. Let's fix it. I don't want this either. Good, he said. My lawyers will be here in 10 minutes. Lawyers. Plural. Emily swallowed hard. This is insane. Why were we even together? You don't even know me. That, he said, picking up his watch from the countertop with calm precision, is the only part we agree on. Emily stumbled toward the huge windows, staring out at the skyline. New York City. Morning. Everything looked normal out there. People walking. Cars moving. Life is happening. And yet her entire world had flipped upside down. She turned back to him. Wait. Why am I here? Why wasn't I in some, I don't know, motel? Why your penthouse? The billionaire paused. That hesitation scared her more than everything else combined. You threw up on my shoes, he finally said, irritation flashing in his eyes. You collapsed. I couldn't leave you in a hotel hallway. Her cheeks burned. Mortification stabbed her in the chest. Right. Great. I ruined your shoes and your life in one night. Don't be dramatic. Dramatic? I woke up married to a stranger. Not a stranger, he corrected icily. A billionaire CEO whose name is on every major financial publication on the planet. And now that same planet thinks you're my wife. Emily blinked. What? He tossed his phone toward her. She barely caught it. On the screen, a headline screamed. Breaking, billionaire CEO Alexander Drake secretly marries mystery woman. Her hands shook as she scrolled. Pictures. Her face. His hand on her waist. Her laughing, clearly intoxicated, while wearing a veil someone must have handed her. Oh my God. She pressed a hand to her forehead. This is bad. This is so bad. You think, the billionaire snapped. Emily threw the phone back onto the couch. Why is this everywhere already? How did they find out? Because, the billionaire replied, checking his cufflinks with an air of controlled fury, someone filmed us. And now my PR team is being eaten alive. Emily paced, clutching her hair. Your PR team? What about my life? I'm a waitress, people I know are going to see this. My boss, my landlord, my... Her phone buzzed violently from somewhere in the room. The billionaire nodded toward the kitchen counter. Go ahead, he said. Answer it. Emily found her phone beneath a stack of newspapers. Dozens of missed calls. Texts. Her manager. Her co-workers. Even her mother. The latest text made her stop breathing. You're fired. Don't come back. Her throat tightened painfully. No, what? They can't fire me over this. They can, the billionaire said. And they did. Emily stared at him, horrified. This is ruining my life. He didn't flinch. It's ruining a $3 billion merger. She wanted to scream. Instead, she said the most rational thing she could think of. I just want to sign papers and disappear. The billionaire exhaled, slow and cold. That was the plan. Was the plan? Emily echoed. Why past tense? A knock echoed through the penthouse. The billionaire's expression darkened. That, he said, is the problem. He opened the door. 2 security guards stood there. Behind them, flashing lights. Shouting voices. Reporters packed outside the hallway. Emily's stomach dropped. The billionaire closed the door again, locking it. They found us, he said. Emily felt the panic slam into her chest like a truck. So what do we do now? We can't walk out there. We don't walk. The billionaire stepped closer to her, invading her space. We stay married. Emily froze. What? Temporarily, he added. Until the media storm dies. No. No, absolutely not. You have no choice. I have every choice. Your job is gone. Your apartment is next. Your name is already trending. If you disappear now, they'll make you a villain. A lump formed in her throat. He wasn't wrong. And that terrified her even more. So what? Emily whispered. What do you want from me? For now, the billionaire said, his voice low and sharp. I want you to act like my wife. Emily's legs nearly buckled under her as she tried to understand what was happening. Her drunken night memories were foggy, sliced into bright flashes and missing pieces. She remembered the hotel staircase. The champagne. The rooftop bar. The billionaire's cold eyes softened for just a second. Then, nothing. Emily. The assistant stepped closer. Mr. Blackwell said you should come with me immediately. Immediately. Like she was an inconvenience he needed to remove fast. She swallowed hard, forcing herself to speak. I'm not going anywhere until he explains what he means by erase me. That sounds like a threat. Andrew, the assistant, shifted uncomfortably. Mr. Blackwell doesn't threaten people. He makes decisions. That didn't comfort her. If anything, it made her chest tighten. She followed him down the hall, her phone buzzing non-stop with unknown calls and messages. When she tried to open one, Andrew shook his head. "You'll want to avoid the internet right now." "Why?" Her voice cracked. He pushed open a door, and Emily felt the cold air of a conference room hit her skin. The billionaire stood at the head of the table, two lawyers beside him, tension swirling around him like a storm. He didn't greet her. Didn't even look at her. He just said, "Sit." Emily didn't move. "Tell me what's going on." For the first time, he finally turned to face her, gray eyes sharp, jaw tight, annoyance and restrained fury radiating off him. "You and I," the billionaire said slowly, "were supposed to sign annulment papers quietly this morning. But thanks to your unexpected media presence, that option is gone." "My unexpected?" She froze. "I didn't call reporters." "I know," he said bitterly. "They followed me. Someone leaked the marriage license." Emily blinked. "Marriage license?" He placed a folder on the table and slid it toward her. Her own signature stared back at her, messy, crooked, undeniably hers, next to his bold, perfect one. Her stomach dropped. This looks real." "It is. But this is insane. I would never." "You were drunk." His voice was razor sharp. "Completely gone. The wedding chapel said you were the one who insisted on vows." Emily's cheeks burned. "I don't even remember that." "I do." His voice softened for one fleeting second. She looked up, surprised. But then it hardened again. "Regardless of why it happened, we need to correct it." One of the lawyers stepped forward. "The problem, sir, is the headlines. They're calling it a secret romance. Some are calling it a scandal." Emily felt small. "I didn't ask for this." "No," the billionaire said coldly. "But you're in it. And as far as the world is concerned, you're my brand new wife." Her heart pounded. "So what do you want from me?" He exhaled slowly. "Cooperation. Discretion. And after this mess dies down, we go our separate ways." "That's what you meant by erase," she whispered. "No," he corrected stiffly. "Erase the situation. Not you." But his tone said otherwise. Emily sat down, gripping the chair. "Okay. Then tell me the plan." He nodded to Andrew. "Bring the contract." A stack of papers dropped in front of her, thicker than a dictionary. Emily scanned the first page. Clause 1, no public appearances without approval. Clause 2, no discussing the marriage. Clause 3, zero compensation except a standard NDA payout. Clause 4, immediate termination if she is deemed a reputational threat. Her throat tightened. "You're treating me like a problem you're trying to bury." "A problem?" He leaned forward. "You married the billionaire CEO of Blackwell Industries without knowing him. And now my board is asking questions. So yes, Emily. This is a problem." Emily gripped the edge of the table. "What if I don't sign?" His eyes darkened. "Then the press will eat you alive. Do you think they care about your side? They want a villain. A gold digger. A social climber. And you fit the narrative too well." Her breath hitched. The truth hurt because it was possible. "You want to protect your company," she said quietly, "not me." "Yes." The honesty cut deeper than the coldness. "Do I get anything out of this arrangement?" she asked. "Peace," he replied. "An exit. A clean one." The room felt too tight, her chest too small. One of the lawyers cleared his throat. "We recommend adhering to Mr. Blackwell's guidance. The situation is delicate." Emily stood abruptly. "No. This isn't delicate. It's terrifying." The billionaire arched a brow. "Sit down." No, she shook her head. You can't order me around. I didn't ask for any of this. For the first time, fire sparked in his eyes, not anger, but something like surprise. Andrew stepped forward cautiously. Emily, I think he just wants. Enough, the billionaire snapped. Leave us. The room froze. The assistants and lawyers slipped out, and suddenly it was only the two of them, tension thick like fog. He walked closer, stopping inches from her. You're making this harder than it needs to be. Because you're making decisions for me, she snapped. Like I'm a mistake you need to delete. He inhaled, slow and sharp. What do you want me to say? Is waking up married to a stranger normal? Is this fine? Emily stared at him. You could start with something human. Something less ruthless. His jaw clenched. Humanity doesn't solve corporate disasters. Maybe not, she whispered, but it might keep you from ruining someone's life. A long silence stretched between them. Then his phone buzzed. He answered immediately. Blackwell. Pause. What do you mean trending at number 1? Emily felt her stomach twist. His expression darkened with every second. The footage is already out. Pause. Fine. Send it to me. He ended the call and opened a video on his phone. Emily stepped closer, and her blood ran cold. It was her. Her and the billionaire. Stumbling out of the wedding chapel at 3 a.m., laughing, spinning, kissing. She gasped. I don't remember any of that. He rubbed his forehead. The world thinks this is the romance of the century. Couples are already using our clip as a sound trend. Her pulse raced. What does that mean for us? He looked at her, expression unreadable. It means, he said slowly, that an annulment is off the table. Emily's knees nearly gave way. You're saying we're stuck. I'm saying the board will never approve dissolving a marriage that's making the company billions in goodwill. Her hands trembled. So now what? He stepped closer again. Now, the billionaire said, voice low and controlled, we have to pretend this marriage is real. Emily stared at him, horrified. You want a fake marriage? A temporary one. How long? He paused. Until the media moves on. Fear washed through her. And how long does that usually take? He held her gaze. Months, Emily. Maybe longer. Her breath caught. I can't live my life trapped in your world. You already are. No, she whispered, stepping back. No, I'm not doing this. He followed her with his eyes, but didn't move. You don't have a choice. She looked toward the door. Her heart pounded. I always have a choice. Before he could react, she pushed the door open and walked out. And for the first time since the morning started. The billionaire looked genuinely unsettled. Emily didn't stop walking until she reached the far end of the building, her breath shaky, her thoughts crashing into each other like waves. She pressed her palm against the cold glass window overlooking the city. Everything felt unreal, like she'd been dropped into someone else's life. Footsteps approached behind her. She didn't turn. She knew who it was. The billionaire's voice was low, controlled, but thinner than before. Running won't solve anything. I wasn't running, she muttered. I just needed air. You stormed out. You told me I didn't have a choice. She finally looked over her shoulder. People don't talk to other people that way. The billionaire exhaled through his nose. You put me in a difficult position. You dragged me into your world overnight. Emily shot back. A world where one mistake means lawyers and contracts and media mobs. He stepped closer. You think this is easy for me? I think you're used to controlling problems. And you think I'm one. His silence was answer enough. Emily turned back to the window. I don't belong here. That doesn't change the situation. She laughed bitterly. You don't even know me. His jaw flexed. I know enough. No, she said quietly. You know nothing. You see a complication. A disruption. But you don't see me. He didn't respond for a moment. Then, unexpectedly, he said, You're wrong. Emily blinked. What? He hesitated, just for a fraction of a second, before admitting, I see someone who's scared. Someone who didn't ask for this any more than I did. Someone who didn't deserve to be dragged into the spotlight. Her chest tightened. That was the first almost kind thing he'd said. Her phone buzzed again. She reluctantly checked it, and froze. Hundreds of comments. DMs from strangers. Notifications exploding non-stop. People were debating her life like it was entertainment. Oh my God, she whispered. The billionaire stepped beside her. They found your Instagram. Emily's face went cold. How? You're trending globally. Her heart hammered. I don't want this attention. I know. She swallowed. Please tell me it'll go away. Attention doesn't go away, he said softly. But we can control it. Emily turned to him fully. How? By giving them a story that won't hurt you. He paused. Or me. A beat of silence passed. Then Emily asked, barely breathing, and what story is that? He held her gaze. That we're a real couple. Her stomach dropped. You really mean it? Yes. His voice was steady again, CEO strong. It's the only way out without destroying us both. Emily pressed a hand to her forehead. A fake marriage? Public appearances? Interviews? Just enough to calm the storm. And then what? We pretend to fall in love, she asked with a shaky laugh. He didn't laugh back. For a second, she caught something in his eyes, something unreadable, unfamiliar, almost vulnerable, but then it vanished, replaced with the familiar ruthless calm. No, he said. We pretend we already are. Emily took a step back. This is insane. It's necessary. It's your solution. Not mine. I'm protecting us both, he said firmly. By trapping me? By preventing the internet from destroying you. She froze. That landed harder than she expected. Footsteps approached from the hallway and Andrew reappeared, slightly breathless. Sir, security says the press is gathering outside the building. They want photographs of the newlyweds. Emily's heart dropped. Newlyweds? Do they actually believe it? Oh, they believe it, Andrew said. They're obsessed. The billionaire sighed, rubbed his temple, then turned to Emily. We need to leave through the private exit. Together? She asked. He nodded. It'll look worse if we don't. Emily blinked hard. I'm not ready for cameras. No one is, he murmured. Andrew added gently, Emily, the longer you stand here, the bigger the mob gets. Her hands shook. I don't know how to do this. The billionaire extended his arm, not warmly, not romantically, but as a controlled formality. Take my arm. Stay close. Keep your head down. I'll handle everything. Emily stared at his arm. Part of her wanted to refuse out of pure pride. Another part of her, scared, overwhelmed, exhausted, knew she needed the lifeline. Slowly, she placed her hand on his arm. They walked. Down the hallway. Into a back elevator. Silence thick between them. Emily whispered, I'm scared. The billionaire didn't look at her. I know. She swallowed. Are you scared? A pause. Then quietly, more than I want to be. Emily almost tripped. She had never expected honesty from him like that. The elevator doors opened into a private underground garage. Security guards lined the path to a sleek black SUV. As they stepped outside, a guard rushed forward. "Sir, the press found the exit. They're coming around the corner." Emily stiffened. The billionaire tightened his arm around hers, not affectionate, but protective, instinctive. He leaned toward her. "Stay behind me." Cameras rounded the corner. Shouts erupted. Flashes exploded like lightning. "Mr. Blackwell." "Emily, look here. Is it true you eloped? Are you pregnant? Are you getting divorced already? Are you in love?" Emily's heart hammered so loudly she couldn't hear anything else. The billionaire placed a hand on her back, guiding her forward with gentle pressure, more gentle than she'd ever felt from him. He opened the SUV door for her. "Get in," he said under his breath. "I'll follow." "No," she whispered back, panicking. "They'll swarm you. I can handle the press." "I don't want you to face them alone," she blurted. He paused. Their eyes locked. For a flicker, a tiny flicker, his expression softened. Then he leaned closer and whispered, "Then stay close." Emily slid into the seat, and he got in beside her. The car doors locked instantly, and the vehicle began pushing through the sea of reporters. Emily pressed a hand to her chest, breathing fast. "This is too much. I can't. I don't know how to survive this." The billionaire turned his gaze toward her. "Emily." She looked up. "You will survive this," he said, voice low but firm. "Because I'm going to make sure you do." She blinked. "Why do you suddenly care?" But he didn't answer. "Instead," he said, "we need to talk about ground rules." Her pulse quickened. "Ground rules? For our marriage?" The word made her stomach twist. He continued, "First, no public contradictions. If one of us says something in an interview, the other supports it." Emily nodded slowly. "Second, you'll stay with me. Temporarily." Her breath caught. "At your penthouse?" "Yes." "I can't." "You have to," he said quietly. "The media won't believe the marriage if we're living apart." Emily's voice broke. "This is changing my whole life. It's changing mine too." She looked at him, really looked at him, and for the first time, she saw the cracks in his armor. The billionaire wasn't just ruthless. He was cornered too. The SUV turned onto the private road leading to his penthouse tower. Emily's pulse refused to slow. He said softly, "You're safe now." But she wasn't sure. Because being next to him, this powerful, unreadable man she accidentally married, felt dangerous in a completely different way. A way she couldn't escape. And neither could he. The elevator doors opened to the billionaire's penthouse, and Emily froze. The space was impossibly vast, all marble and glass, silent except for the faint hum of the city below. She had never felt so out of place in her life. The billionaire stepped ahead of her, silently closing the elevator doors behind them. "Sit," he said, motioning to the couch. Emily lowered herself slowly, her hands gripping the edge. "I don't know how to do this," she admitted. "I've never lived like this. I've never been part of your world." "You're part of it now," he said softly, his voice almost gentler than she expected. "At least temporarily. But that doesn't mean you're powerless. We're playing roles, Emily. Roles that protect both of us." She shook her head. "Roles? It feels like a trap." "Then survive it like one," he said flatly. "And listen, if we're going to get through this, you need to understand something." He leaned closer, voice dropping to a near whisper. "I don't do half measures. If you agree to this charade, you give it your all. Pretend, adapt, and follow my lead. Or the world will destroy you." Emily pressed her lips together, a mix of fear and determination swirling in her chest. "And what happens if I fail?" "You won't fail," he said. "Not if you do what I say. I'll handle the media, the paparazzi, the board members. Your only job is to survive publicly and keep your mouth shut. Simple enough." She wanted to argue, to scream, to run. But looking at him, the billionaire, the man she had accidentally married, she knew she didn't have any better options. She nodded slowly. Simple enough. He straightened, brushing off his suit jacket with precision. "Good. Tomorrow, we will appear at the charity gala. You'll wear formal attire. Smile. Laugh. Pretend this is real. The cameras will eat it up, and the world will believe our fairy tale." Emily's chest tightened. "And I have to do all of that, with you?" "Yes." His voice was calm, but there was a subtle weight behind it. "Together, Emily. At least for appearances." Her stomach turned. She didn't like being this close to him. She didn't like the way her heart raced whenever he spoke in that calm, commanding tone. And she certainly didn't like how much she wanted to look at him when she knew she shouldn't. She opened her mouth to protest further, but he interrupted. "You should rest now. We have a long night tomorrow." Emily hesitated, then nodded. "Fine. But I'm not pretending to like this." He didn't respond. Instead, he turned and walked toward the floor-to-ceiling windows, arms crossed, watching the city below. Emily observed him quietly, noting the tension in his shoulders, the tight line of his jaw. She realized something unsettling: behind the ruthless billionaire exterior, there was something else. Vulnerability, maybe. Or loneliness. That night, Emily couldn't sleep. Every time she closed her eyes, flashes of paparazzi, the wedding, and the cold, controlled gaze of the billionaire haunted her. She tossed and turned, anxiety knotting her stomach. By morning, her nerves were frayed. She dressed carefully, choosing a simple but elegant outfit she could borrow from a friend's closet. Her reflection in the mirror shocked her. This wasn't the girl who spilled coffee for a living. This was someone else, someone caught in a world of wealth, power, and expectations. The billionaire entered the room as she adjusted her blouse. He looked at her critically, arms crossed. "You can't look nervous. Cameras smell fear. Act confident." "I'm not confident," she admitted, voice low. "I'm terrified." "Good. Fear makes you sharper," he said almost cryptically. "But don't let it show. Smile, nod, act like this is what you wanted all along." Emily swallowed hard, feeling the weight of the day pressing down on her. "I don't know if I can." "You can," he said firmly. "Because I'll be right there. Don't forget, appearances are everything." The car ride to the gala was tense. Emily fumbled with her gloves, occasionally sneaking glances at the billionaire beside her. He didn't speak much, focused instead on the city streets rushing past. Occasionally, she caught his eyes, sharp and assessing. Each time, her pulse spiked. When they arrived, the paparazzi were waiting in full force. Flashbulbs exploded, reporters shouted questions. Emily's legs felt like jelly. The billionaire placed a hand lightly on her back, guiding her forward. "Stay close. Follow my lead." Emily nodded, stepping into the maelstrom of cameras and questions. She smiled, a shaky but controlled gesture, as he led her down the red carpet. Every flash, every shouted question, felt like fire against her nerves. One reporter shouted, "Is this your first public appearance as a married couple?" The billionaire didn't hesitate. "Yes," he said smoothly, putting an arm protectively around her waist. "And we're enjoying every moment." Emily forced a laugh, trying to match the ease in his voice, but her heart was racing so fast she feared it would burst. After what felt like an eternity, they reached the doors. Security whisked them inside, away from the press. Emily leaned against a wall, exhaling shakily. The billionaire glanced at her, eyes unreadable. "You did fine." "I'm alive," she muttered, her voice trembling. "That's a start." A silence stretched between them, not uncomfortable, but heavy with unspoken tension. "I don't want to do this," Emily admitted quietly, her voice almost a whisper. "I don't want to pretend. I don't want any of this." "You don't have to like it," he said calmly. "You just have to survive it. And you will. I'll make sure of it." Emily wanted to argue, to tell him that she didn't need protection, that she could handle her own life. But deep down, she knew he was right. Alone, she was exposed. With him, she at least had a chance. Hours passed, and the gala continued. Emily moved through the crowd, hand in hand with the billionaire, smiling and laughing at the right moments. She caught glimpses of him in profile, stoic, controlled, undeniably handsome, and a pang of something she didn't understand stirred inside her. By the time they left, her legs ached from standing, and her smile had become more genuine out of exhaustion than anything else. She exhaled deeply as they returned to the SUV. "Not bad," the billionaire said quietly, as if reading her thoughts. Emily gave a small, tired smile. "I survived." He turned toward her, his expression softer than before. "And you did more than survive. You adapted. That's impressive." Her chest tightened. "You really mean that?" "Yes," he said simply. A flutter of something unfamiliar ran through her chest. Gratitude? Relief? Or something else she couldn't name. The rest of the ride back to the penthouse was quiet. Emily stared out the window, watching the city blur past. She knew this was only the beginning. Pretending, surviving, adapting, she had no idea how long it would last, or how much it would change her. But one thing was certain, being trapped in the billionaire's world was far more dangerous, and far more intoxicating, than she could have imagined. As the car pulled up to the penthouse, the billionaire turned to her, voice low and steady. "Tomorrow will be harder. The press will want more. Appearances must be perfect. Do you understand?" Emily nodded, swallowing hard. "I understand." "Good." His eyes held hers for a long moment, unreadable. "Try to rest tonight. You'll need your strength." Emily stepped out of the SUV, heart still racing. She knew he wasn't being kind. He was being strategic. Protective. Ruthless. And yet, something in the way he watched over her stirred feelings she refused to acknowledge. She climbed the stairs to the penthouse, alone this time, and exhaled. Tomorrow, the game will continue. And survival was just the beginning. Emily woke before the billionaire, sunlight spilling through the penthouse windows. The city looked calm from above, but her stomach twisted. Another day in his world awaited her, a world of flashing cameras, questions she didn't know how to answer, and expectations she hadn't signed up for. Her phone buzzed relentlessly, emails, texts, notifications from news outlets, social media alerts, hundreds of them. She pressed her palms to her face, trying to block it all out. Then she heard footsteps, measured, deliberate. The billionaire entered, immaculately dressed, eyes sharp and calculating. "Morning," he said, voice calm but commanding. "Ready for today?" Emily rubbed her eyes. "I'm not ready. I don't know if I ever will be." "Then learn fast," he replied, stepping closer. The charity gala was just practice. Today, you face the press conference. Cameras, microphones, hundreds of questions. Her chest tightened. "I'm terrified." "That's good," he said, almost cryptically. "Fear keeps you alert. You'll need it." Emily swallowed hard. "I don't want fear. I want my life back." "You can have it," he said, voice sharp. "After we survive the storm." She didn't argue. Alone, she had no chance. With him, maybe. The press conference hall was massive, glass walls letting in harsh light, reporters packed in every direction. Emily's legs shook as she followed him onto the stage. He adjusted his tie, eyes scanning the crowd with precision. Confidence, he whispered. Smile when needed, speak when needed. Act like this is what you wanted. Emily nodded, forcing a smile. The press erupted. Flashbulbs, shouted questions, cameras. Emily felt paralyzed. But the billionaire's hand on her back steadied her. Welcome, everyone, he announced, voice authoritative. I'd like to introduce my wife, Emily Carter. Her name. Spoken in front of hundreds of strangers. Heart racing, she forced a small, controlled smile. A reporter yelled, "How does it feel to be married to one of the richest men in the world?" Emily's pulse spiked. She glanced at him. He gave a subtle nod. It's surprising, but wonderful, she said carefully. Another reporter pressed, was this a secret wedding? He cut in smoothly, intimate, yes. Private, not secret. Emily mirrored his words, nodding, though her throat burned. Hours later, the press conference ended. Emily felt like she'd run a marathon in heels. You did fine, the billionaire said calmly. I survived, she muttered, exhausted. That's a start, he replied. A long silence hung between them. I don't want to do this, Emily admitted quietly. I don't want to pretend, I don't want any of this. You don't have to like it, he said. Just survive it. She stared at him. Why do you care? He paused, then said softly, because life isn't just business. Sometimes there are consequences even I didn't anticipate. Emily frowned. Consequences? Don't worry about it, he said, voice tightening. Focus on surviving. That evening, they attended a private dinner with one of his associates. Emily felt out of place in her borrowed gown. Every word, every laugh, felt rehearsed. He stayed close, guiding her subtly. Small nods, small smiles, she realized she was learning to adapt. After the dinner, Emily whispered, I don't know how much longer I can do this. You'll last longer than you think, he replied quietly. The world thinks we're a power couple. We have to live up to it, for now. Her chest tightened. I don't even like you. He didn't flinch. I know. And you don't like me? She asked, defiant. His eyes met hers briefly. I didn't say that. Her heart skipped. She looked away quickly, embarrassed by the flutter she felt. The ride back to the penthouse was quiet. Emily watched the city blur past. Pretending, surviving, adapting, this was only the beginning. The billionaire glanced at her. Tomorrow brings more challenges. Are you ready? She shook her head. No. But I don't have a choice, do I? No, he said. Not if you want to survive. Emily leaned back, heart racing. Being trapped in his world, beside him, was far more dangerous than she'd imagined. And yet. There was something magnetic about his control, something terrifyingly compelling. As they entered the penthouse, she realized, every moment with him, every stare, every proximity would push her to the edge. She might survive, or break trying. Her phone buzzed again. Notifications, messages, press alerts, unrelenting. He glanced at her. Ignore it tonight. Rest. We will fight tomorrow. Emily closed her eyes, exhausted. But sleep wouldn't come. Thoughts of cameras, headlines, and the enigmatic man she had married kept her awake. She wondered, not for the first time, if she would survive him, or fall for him first. The next morning, Emily woke to the soft hum of the city below, her body still tense from the previous day. Today was the culmination, the public gala, interviews, and the board meeting that would decide how this marriage would be spun. The billionaire entered the room, impeccably dressed, eyes sharp as always. He gave her a brief nod. Ready? Emily swallowed. As ready as I'll ever be. He didn't respond. Instead, he moved toward the door and gestured for her to follow. Stay close, watch my lead. Smile, laugh, and don't contradict me. Everything else I'll handle. She nodded, though a part of her wanted to run, scream, escape. But she didn't. She had survived this far. She would survive this too. At the gala, cameras flashed relentlessly. Reporters shouted questions. Emily's legs trembled, but she stayed close to him, mirroring his confidence. He placed a hand lightly on her back, guiding her, protecting her from the crowd without a word. A reporter shouted, "Is this true? Are you really in love?" Emily froze, glancing at him. He smiled slightly, just enough to suggest charm without emotion. "Yes," he said smoothly, voice steady. "We are very much in love. It's early, but it's real." Her stomach twisted. "Real?" she whispered under her breath. He leaned slightly toward her, so only she could hear. "Appearances, Emily. Let them believe. For now, it's real enough." Hours passed. Emily moved through the crowd, answering carefully rehearsed questions, smiling when appropriate. By the end, she felt exhausted, but strangely, capable. She had adapted. She had survived. Later, in the privacy of the car, she let out a long breath. "I can't believe I'm saying this, but I think I can handle it." He glanced at her, expression unreadable. "Good. Because it's far from over. The media will want more. They'll want stories, appearances, interviews. You need to be prepared." "I can be prepared," she said, voice firmer than before. "I think I've learned how to play the part." A small smile touched his lips, fleeting, almost imperceptible. "You're learning fast." Back at the penthouse, Emily changed out of her gown and collapsed onto the couch. The billionaire sat across from her, watching her, eyes thoughtful. "Why are you helping me?" she asked suddenly. "You could erase me. You could pretend I never existed." He leaned back. "Because you remind me that life isn't just about control or power. You remind me that there are things even I can't anticipate." Emily stared at him, confused. "What things?" He didn't answer. Instead, he stood and moved to the windows, arms crossed, looking out at the city. She felt a strange mix of fear, curiosity, and something else she didn't want to name. Days turned into weeks. Emily adjusted to her new life, surviving appearances, interviews, and media scrutiny. Slowly, the distance between her and the billionaire lessened, not emotionally, not in love, but in understanding. She began to see the man behind the ruthless persona. He was meticulous, controlling, but also strategic, protective, and human. One evening, after a particularly grueling press day, Emily found herself alone in the penthouse library, reviewing the day's headlines. The billionaire entered silently, holding 2 glasses of wine. "Sit," he instructed softly. Emily hesitated, then accepted. He handed her a glass. "Why are you always so precise?" she asked. "Because precision is survival," he replied. "In business, in life, and, sometimes in marriage." Her gaze lifted. "Marriage?" "Yes," he said simply. "Our marriage. Temporary or not, real or staged, it exists. And it needs management." Emily's heart skipped. "Do you ever think about it beyond appearances?" He didn't answer immediately. Instead, he studied her, his gaze intense, searching. Then he said quietly, "Sometimes. More than I care to admit." Her breath caught. She wanted to ask more, to push further, but the words died in her throat. Instead, she nodded slowly, understanding for the first time that this man, ruthless, controlling, seemingly untouchable, was not invincible. He had vulnerabilities, and she had glimpsed them. Weeks later, the media storm began to fade. The public bought the story. The board approved the continuation of the marriage for appearances. Emily had survived. She had adapted. She had learned. One quiet night, the billionaire approached her in the penthouse kitchen. "Emily," he said, voice softer than usual. "You've handled this far better than I expected." She smiled faintly. "I had a good teacher." He chuckled softly, a sound she hadn't heard before. "Perhaps. Or maybe you just have a natural instinct for survival." Their eyes met. For the first time, there was no strategy, no pretense, no media performance. Just two people, one powerful, one ordinary, locked in an understanding born of chaos, fear, and unexpected reliance. "You think this will ever end?" Emily asked quietly. He shrugged, but his gaze lingered on her. "Everything ends eventually. But until then, we survive. Together." Emily felt something stir inside her, a mix of relief, admiration, and connection. She realized that surviving beside him had changed her. She was stronger, more confident, and even, against her better judgment, intrigued by him. He turned and walked to the windows, silent again. She followed, standing beside him. "The world will forget us soon enough," he said quietly. "But what we experienced, we won't." Emily nodded. "No. We won't." A long silence stretched between them, not uncomfortable, but charged with the unspoken understanding of shared survival. Finally, he glanced at her, eyes softened slightly. "Rest tonight. Tomorrow, we return to appearances. But remember, Emily, you survived this. You adapted. And in this world, that's everything." She smiled faintly, feeling a strange mix of exhaustion and pride. "I survived. And I'm not done yet." He didn't respond, but for the first time, she saw something in his expression that wasn't control or calculation. Something almost. "I like respect." The city lights glittered below, endless and bright. Emily realized she had stepped into a world she never asked for, beside a man she didn't understand, surviving on her wits and courage. And yet, she was no longer afraid. She had survived the billionaire. And maybe, just maybe, she had survived herself.